Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are having a good day so far. So in this video today we'll be taking a look at this 3D isometric CSS range slider that I built using CSS, JavaScript, and HTML. So what we have here is a range slider which allows us to select any value between 0 and 100, and obviously we can change this to a different value if we want to, and as you notice, whenever we stop at a certain position it'll tell us what that value is. So that's what makes it so cool, as well as with this 3D isometric effects that I added to it. So let's get started. So I'm just going to get rid of all this so we can start from scratch, generate my boilerplate code, and we can give this a name if we want to. We'll just call it range slider. And now in between our two body tags we'll create a div and give it an ID of container. This will store our inputs and our text. So we'll have a span, give it an ID of min value. So our minimum value will be 0. You can change it to a different number if you wish to. And we can do input min equals 0, value equals 0. So what this value property for this input is doing is that its default value will start from 0, and you can change it to a different value, but it will always start from 0, or whatever number you passed in for your default value. And then we'll do type equals range. And this is how we get that range slider, by typing type equals range. And as you notice, now we have our range slider. And then we can do max equals 100, and then ID, I'll just give it input. So now we should be able to move it around, yes. And we'll just create one more span tag, give an ID of max value. This will be 100 in my case. And then outside of this div container, we'll create another span with the ID of value. So it's going to start at 0, but it's going to change as we slide over back and forth. It depends on where we stop at. And to make it actually work, we have to go into our JavaScript and do var input. So we're going to create a variable and store our input, which is this right here, inside a variable by selecting it by doing document.getElement by ID, getting its ID, and then we'll give an event listener of input. So input just means whenever we do something to the input, when we drag over it. So when we drag on it, it's going to do something. It's going to start a function, and the function name will be inputted. So I'll call a function, give it the name of inputted, a set of parentheses. That's the usual format for creating functions in JavaScript. And then we'll create a variable called value equals input.value. So this variable right here will store whatever value we selected from our range slider. And we can do document.getElement by ID value. And this is a terrible name because the ID name and the variable name are the same thing, except this document.getElement by ID value, it's going to grab this right here, this span right here, and then we'll set its text content to be value. So now, if we try moving this, it should change, yes. So, as you can see, it's changing as we drag over. So that's pretty cool, but obviously it doesn't look that cool. It doesn't look that cool yet because we still have to add those 3D effects and the background colors and all of that, so let's go do that now. So I'm going to go into my two style tags, and I'll select everything and give them a cursor pointer. And then underneath that, we can do HTML. We're going to select the HTML tag and the body, which are basically the same thing. And then we'll do display flex, justify content, center, align items, center. So this will just center everything. And we'll do background, RGB, 23, 212, 124. And if you're having a hard time finding the right color for this, you can just type HTML. So I'll just type HTML color picker. So this will bring this up for you, and you can pick your color that you want. They should have this right here, and you can just drag around, stop at a color that you want, and it'll tell you what the RGB value, the HSL value, and the hexadecimal value for that color is. So I recommend you guys try using that because it's going to help you a lot. Then we'll select our container and do position absolute. And let me exit out of this and bring us back to over here. And we'll do top 50%. So that will move it down 50%. putting it right in the center. And we'll also do left 50% and translate. As you can see right now, it's not exactly in the center, it's kind of being offsetted to the side a little bit. We want it to be somewhere over here, not over here, so that it's actually centered. So we can do negative 50% for our x value, negative 50% for our y value, and we might as well scale it by 3 so that we can see it a little better. Now this is much easier to see, and as you can see, this right here still works, except it's too small, so we'll increase its font size in a minute. And then we'll do background color, RGB 5, that's basically white, and now our container has a white background. And let's do height 50 pixels, width 200 pixels, then we'll do display flex, justify content center, align items will be center as well. And now everything should be centered, so there's equal spaces between the 0 and the siding over here, and equal spaces between the number 100 and this side right here, which is great. And then we can do border radius 6 pixels, so that will just round off the corners a little bit to make it more round instead of a sharp 90 degrees. And we'll do filter drop shadow, or you can use box shadow, the box shadow CSS property if you want to, but I'm just going to use this to show you that either one works. So you can do that, and now it'll have a little shadow. Or you can also do box shadow and pass in the same values, except we're just using a different property. So 0, 2 pixels, and then 2 pixels black. So as you can see, that did the exact same thing, except we just used a different property. But for now, let's just use filter, and then we'll do box shadow. And this is the reason why I used filter, because we had to use the box shadow property for something else, which is for our isometric 3D effect thing that we had at the beginning of the video. So it's very simple. Your first value will be 1 pixel, and then the next one will be the opposite of it, so it's negative 1 pixels. And then the color of it will be CDC EDC. And we'll just copy this down maybe 8 times, I guess. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the trick here is to change these to a number bigger than the one before by 1 pixels. So this will be 3, this will be 4, this will be 5, this will be 6, and so on. And let's go change these as well. So this should be negative 2, negative 3. So as you can see, there's sort of a pattern here. And now our range slider has this cool 3D effect, which I really like. And I hope you guys like it too. It's probably one of my favorite patterns. Anyways, now that we're done doing that, we can select our value and do font size 6 rem. So this should be a little easier to see now. And we'll also give it a font family of Roboto Sans Serif so that it changes a little bit. Now the font is much easier to read in my opinion, but you can change it to a different font if you want to by going to fonts.google.com, and you can just pick a font that you want. Let's say I wanted this one. So I'll click on that, and there's different versions. Although all these fonts are Roboto, they each have their own thicknesses and width, so you can select the one that you want. So let's say I wanted this really thin one, which is thin 100, so I'll just select it. And you can use the link tag by copying all of this, or you can use the add import, which is much easier to use since it's less code. So you just copy this and import it into the top of your CSS file. So I'll just highlight this one more time to show you. So just highlight that, then paste it in here, and now you have access to that font you just selected. So this is a very neat website you should try using as well. Anyways, now let's get back to our range slider. So we're just going to select all of our span tags and do font family Roboto Sans Serif. So now as you notice, all of these change to Roboto. And for our last style, we'll just do width 60%, height 10 pixels, and we forgot the H in width, so let's fix that. Alright, good. And we'll do outline none as well. And we are done, so let's take a look at it. So we can move it around like this, and this, the value changes over time as well. And the value changes depending on where we stop at. And yeah guys, this is pretty much the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, feedbacks, or any comments, let me know in the comments below and I'll reply to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to join my Discord server for any source code that you want. The link will be in the description below, and you can just click on that and go join my Discord server if you want to get the source code for this project. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.